Thanks to EA for inviting me to the early access event for the new Sims 4 Horse Ranch expansion pack. G'day and welcome back to my channel. I am Labushka and we are back here today for another build that I did with the Sims 4 Horse Ranch expansion pack and the base game only. So we are back here in Chestnut Ridge, and in yesterday's video I showed you a cozy ranch build that I did. So if you are interested in watching that video, you can go back and watch that. It was only posted yesterday, or you can also just check out the lot on the gallery. So my name is the same on the gallery as it is for this channel. Now I built a bar up here in what's this Galloping Gulch. So Galloping Gulch only has 3 lots, and I kind of demolished, I think it was the Gooseman. It was Don Gooseman and his horse. I can't remember the name of the horse, but I kind of kicked them out. I evicted them and I demolished this lot and wanted to build my own bar. Now, that's not to say that this bar in the town center, the Oak Barrel, which I think was by Simproved, I think, don't quote me on that, but it's a nice lot, right? It's a nice build, but although it feels rustic, I kind of wanted something that felt like maybe a little bit more like, not necessarily run down, but a little bit like not so nice, because her build was like really, really nice. And it kind of like, had like a vineyard feel. If you went to a vineyard and you've ever, been inside like their facilities there, it really reminded me of that. And I wanted something that really felt like an outback pub. So I'm originally from Australia, and there is like this, I don't know, this like culture around outback pubs in rural towns. And that was my original inspiration for this. So I wanted something that felt like a little bit more out of the way, not kind of like a vineyard. It just felt like kind of local pub. So that's actually why I decided to call it the Local, and then in brackets pub, because you could just call it the Local. And I decided to put it up here in, it was Galloping Gulch, because this bridge here, if we go to this lot, that bridge that kind of like leads out from that area, I wanted it to feel like this is possibly your last, stop before you take off on your adventures. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and that's really the feel that I wanted, because some of the pictures I was looking up, that's really like how we're talking about, like, the really northern parts of Australia, and I was looking at the pubs that they have there. It kind of feels like they're really in the middle of nowhere. There's just nothing else surrounding them. They're not even in like full country towns. So I wanted to kind of have this feel like it's the last stop where you can check in, maybe have a bite to eat, maybe grab a drink with your mates, kind of like have a bit of a rest for your horse and whatever before you set off, over the bridge and into the wilderness for your trail riding adventures. So that was my inspiration, because, there's really like not much here. You have this like rental property here, then you have like a small lot there, and kind of then you just have this one here, and FYI, if you didn't already know, there is a cave in the background. I'll like circle it on the screen. You can kind of see it. If I put it like here, it's like in the middle of the screen. That's where the new cavern is, or the cave, that you can go and check out as well. So out the front here, I kind of was actually a little bit concerned at first. Let's call this, actually, let's, on camera right now, let's just rename this the Local, and then we can have, maybe we'll have the Local pub. And it is a bar. It's fulfilled all the requirements, and this is 63,745 simoleons. It's a 20 by 20 lot. I guess we could put convivial here, and you could decide on if you wanted any of the other traits, I was going to say attributes, for the lot, when and if you download this for yourself. But I kind of don't like to preset a lot of those, if I'm going to build anything for the gallery. But I wanted to have this space at the front here where, realistically, you could come with your horse. If you're going to, go trail riding with your horse, then, you probably want to give them a bit of a rest. Like, they can, I guess, hang out the front. I think horses in the game can't climb stairs. So I don't think that they'll be able to climb this little barrier here. But I haven't tested that out for myself. Otherwise, you can have horses inside, which, it could be fun. But they have at least a little resting place, realistically. Have a couple of rocking chairs at the front, seating areas. I mean, at a real pub, there might be something like these old milk cans for people who perhaps smoke. You can dump your butts in there, but you can think of it just like they're decorative. It doesn't really matter. And I've tried to use some of these fun new like decorative items here. What are they technically called? Signs. So these iron signs, I think they've been a lot of fun to try and use. And also on the outside here is a barbecue with a seating area, and we're just going to go down. And the new kind of benches that come with it. There is also, I put on my residential lot one of these signs where you can organize a ranch event, buy mini goats and sheep, etc. So there's another one of them here. And then you have these like fun decorative items. I loved these. I was super wrapped that I found a room for them because I was sort of a bit concerned. I really wanted to use them, but I was like, geez, like actually this is 20 by 20 a lot. Like the building itself ended up being bigger than I expected. So then once I built that first and then sort of started filling in the outside area, I realized how little room I had. So I was actually really excited to fit these two items in. And this is another kind of like thing, in country towns, you tend to see like little relics of the past and bits and pieces around the place. So I thought it really fit the atmosphere very well. Now around the side, some people might find this confusing. I'm not sure. But I also put mailboxes, and I did that because, if you're say you're living in this area, right, and it's like super deserted and maybe doesn't get services that often, like post necessarily doesn't come to your house, you might have like a PO box, sort of at the local post office or at the local milk bar, and then you go there to pick up your mail. So that was the idea. This is meant to be like a place where people gather, and it sort of serves the community like in a variety of ways. So I wanted to add the mailboxes here to sort of reflect that. So maybe you're kind of living in the middle of nowhere in whoop whoop, as you might say, and you come here to collect your mail. So it comes to the bar and then you just, come and grab it from here, or the local pub. I also ended up adding some seating here, which I originally was not going to do. I kind of thought this might be like a bit of a horse roaming area, but actually then I decided that maybe this is a bit more hipster and not so rural, but it just sort of felt really right, to have these like cute sitting areas out here. And I'll show you what it looks like at night as well. I think it actually turned out really good. And, shaded area, you have the fountain and blah, blah, blah. But you can just like have your Sims like bring their drinks out here and sit around and have a chat, have a yarn. And like my residential build, I also got excited and added some more gnomes here, and I decided to, aside from the chicken one, which just seems appropriate, I decided to add kind of, if the other ones were more like just regular looking gnomes, I decided to add these ones that kind of looked a bit more freaky. So maybe it's like the owners of the pub, kind of have a thing for like creepy looking gnomes, or like collecting creepy looking gnomes, and they're displaying it here in their bar. So I thought that was a really fun idea. So I've been talking so much that I've actually forgotten to have some of my tea, but I'll show you what this looks like at night. So I actually had no idea that this sign up here, this big sign on the building from Debug, that it's like even existed. I had no idea because I've practically never used Debug before in, my Sims 4 games. So I thought, I'd explore and see what's there. And actually it's super awesome. There was a ton of stuff. So I like this as well. I think, at night it sort of really stands out as like, the hub of this local deserted area, and where stuff's actually happening. And I really, really appreciate that this debug item here with the lights on it at night actually, like, it lights up. So I was surprised as well with the sign. I didn't think at night it would actually light up. So I thought that was a really fun, addition. A really fun little addition. I also put these new little lanterns like, around the place. So out the front here, of course, like it sort of, guides the way into the property. But, I have them out here on the front. You can actually put them on this new fence, which like surprised me. I had no idea. And maybe it's a bit weird like to have them there, but I liked the idea anyway. And then I had them also like, around the back here, I had like a few. And, with this seating area, I put, a couple of them here. I think there was another one here, because I liked the idea that if you do want to come out here, if you're going to the pub and you do want to come and sit out here, I like the idea of having like sort of like for public use lanterns that, they have some lanterns, you can just pick them up and off you go, like out around the side to sit with your mates. So that was the idea behind having these randomly placed lanterns as well. So you can sort of, the public can decide how much they want to use them. Okay, we now venture inside. All right, so from the bird's eye view, it might look a little bit, I don't know, when I kind of reviewed this, like to my eyes, it looked like a little bit almost empty, although there's quite like a lot in here, because I was also thinking, imagining, the bars actually in the game get quite filled up. I thought like this could get quite cramped. And that's the feel that I wanted. I wanted this to feel like you come here, it's busy, you're seeing your mates, meeting new people, like it's very community feel. But I didn't want it to feel too cramped that, your Sims like start walking through each other and glitching like that, and they can't like kind of get around the spaces. So I hope that there's enough room. Like I haven't play tested this yet, but this is, the sort of main area. So this is the new bar, and I can tell you I had a ton of trouble figuring out this space before it actually started to come together. And that's one reason why I really didn't want to do it as a speed build, because I knew that it would take me a while. And if I was to do this as a speed build, the way I build is a bit chaotic. It's like really messy until it actually starts to come together. So I really didn't want to do a speed build. So I tried to use again like a lot of the items from the new pack. You of course like have the bar here, and I even put some extra like little details, some this is, I assume is like horse remains, unfortunately. So maybe it's like, I don't know, it could either be like a really important horse to the area or could have been the owner's horse. I added more of these wine bottles up here. I hope that they're not like clipping too much, but I don't think that they are. And then I put a piano in here as well, because that of course seems like a lot of fun. And I imagine that these books here on top of the piano are like, just they have like a bunch of like piano sort of song books there, like with the notes, and you can just like pick and choose and rifle through those if you want to play something from there. So I really like that idea as well. We have some seating, but there is of course more seating upstairs. And I mentioned previously, I think I did, about, this sort of mismatched chairs. So even though they're all technically the same like style of chair, I really like this idea of having different colors. And even you could imagine, or I imagine that maybe like some members of the local community had like just, you get a random chair here or there. Maybe you have a set and, over time, like they all break and you only have maybe one or two left. And then you can like maybe, donate it to the local bar to like help them out. Hey, do you guys need extra seating? That kind of thing. That was my idea anyway. I like the sort of, the idea, the thought that, the community has also contributed to what this bar is. So the fact that it's sort of a bit mismatched. Some of the new, this is technically like a decal, but, you can, use a bunch of options on it. It's kind of like got some posters, then these like fun little kind of like banner things, and then, more signs, and, so some of them look more like posters and some of them, are, decals. So I really wanted to use quite a few of those. So you of course have what do you call it, dance floor in the middle here, and the stereo is up here on the wall. So that was pretty, like I was wrapped to fit it in. That's what I'm going to say. So, because I was imagining if you have a whole bunch of Sims dancing here, like, and you have Sims sitting like at the tables in the bar, like this could actually feel a little bit cramped. So I think there's enough room. Like I didn't overlap, anything with the sort of like green guiding squares that you have there. So I hope that, nothing's going to interrupt. Oh, that one should be fine. I hope that nothing's going to interrupt, anything else. It might need some small adjustments. I need to get better at actually checking this stuff myself. There was this like weird little space under the stairs, so I just used this as like a storage area. So there's actually nothing in here that's functional. It's purely decorative, and usually I quite dislike that when I download a build and there's like this non-functional area. But I don't know, for some reason, like I was building this and it just seemed perfect and actually added to what felt like the authenticity of the build. Over here, when before you go up the stairs, I think, this actually was not like a planned first idea when I started doing this, but then I got really excited. I kept seeing, you know, the postcards pop up in debug, and I was like, how can I use those? And then again, sometimes like local pubs or bars will have, you know, where there's like a board of like local people's photos or things like that. And so I liked the idea here of the postcards. So, you know, maybe like it's the local people, you can come here, and I'm not really sure, 100% sure what the idea is, but maybe you can like stick, you know, your postcard up here and sort of contribute to this, again, this community vibe of the bar. I also put here, you know, some plates, some like cutlery, some bread, and, you know, some condiments. I liked the idea that, you know, if you want to eat at the pub, which of course they often, you know, also have like a kitchen, that you can, and of course in The Sims you can, you know, buy food from the bar, that you can like come here and, you know, pick up your own plates and cutlery and whatever. So I thought it kind of, you know, serves also as a restaurant too, and that it's sort of like serve yourself. They tend to be like very relaxed places, so it's not super formal. Like you can just get these things yourself, and, you know, maybe they're more trusting too, that you're not going to actually pinch anything and steal from the bar. Now we venture upstairs. So if the downstairs is quite like well lit, which I really wanted, then the upstairs is meant to be like a little bit more intimate. And not intimate in like a sexy way, okay? Intimate as in like, you know, you can, it's a bit more sort of, you know, the lighting is toned down a bit. Maybe this is where you come to have those deep conversations, you know, or get to know your potential, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, life partner, or, you know, just kind of, it's that kind of vibe to me anyway. And I'm sure you've been like, or many people have been in bars and things that give off that same vibe. So of course there's seating areas here. I put some guitars, I put the games, these are the cards tables, and some chess tables. So there's also some activities up here to do. There's a TV, of course, the local pub would usually have a TV, but also it's a requirement of the bar lot in The Sims. And this little, what's this called? What was the name of this object? Antique nectar press. So this is here as like kind of another homage to the past. You know, if there was a couple of things outside of the bar, still on the lot, you know, what I showed you with like the tower and stuff that are meant to be like a piece of history, then this is another one that's indoors here. I also tried to, you know, keep some artwork on the walls, of course. There's just a simple bathroom here. All of these toilets are for both genders, so that shouldn't be an issue for your Sims to use. And then outside it just had like more tables, more of the same like decorative stuff, and these new lanterns. And I like this as well. I can imagine, you know, the Sims sitting out there or myself sitting out there, you know, on like a warm evening with mates. There's laughter in the background, a bit of music, and just relaxing and like having a good time, but also listening to other people have a good time as well. That's what I really liked. And there's also the stereo here as well. So hopefully that's like enough. I didn't put one on the outside of this. Hopefully that's enough that like Sims on the outside, you know, kind of get that like background music vibe. One thing I forgot to mention in my residential build tour, my Cozy Ranch tour, is that if we're going to free cam, is that actually probably by now you're aware that you can paint the roofs. So I did paint the roofs in this build and also in the residential build. So you can do the balcony here, but upstairs, because there isn't technically like, it's not a room, so it's just like kind of an extended roof. I'll show you that it's not painted because you can't actually paint those yet. So if we go like this, so you can't actually paint these, but you can paint like, you know, if I made like a full room here and it had like its own top, then you could paint it. But this is just a roof in itself, so you can't, you know, you can't actually do anything about that. But I thought it didn't really matter. I think this one took me about 8 hours to do, and some people said they spent 8 hours. Some people in the Discord for their like early access said they spent like 8 hours on a 64 by 64 lot, and I was like, you serious? The 20 by 20 lot took me 8 hours. I couldn't believe it, but for me that was a really quick build, so I was quite excited that, you know, this turned out how it did, and what was for me quite a short amount of time. So that is the second build that I did with this new early access pack. I like ummed and ahed for ages about, you know, what do I want to do? Did I want to do like a cast overview, build by overview, world overview? And like none of those really excited me too much. To be honest, I did record a world overview and it took me so long to do that by the time I finished it, I was not excited about editing that video. I just knew it was going to like take twice as long to edit. And actually it didn't, like, for me, it was great as a player. I felt like it really served me to get to know the world better, but it kind of didn't interest me to actually share that kind of video. I do have one more video relating to this early access, the Horse Ranch Pack, that I am going to share with you, or that I'm going to record, and it's more to do with just kind of like playing around with Cass. So if that does interest you, I'm just going to be giving Bob and Eliza a makeover. So that should be coming like a Western style makeover. So it's a good opportunity to check out the Cass without doing a Cass overview. And just, you know, they're two iconic Sims in, well, The Sims 4 and, well, in the Sims franchise really. So I thought it would be fun to just give them a bit of a makeover, and that way also check out some of the items there. So if you're interested in watching that, that will be coming out tomorrow. As usual though, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.